Hello, my name is Josh Harnack, and I am the 2023 Artist in Residence at the Cassiar Cannery. Cassiar Cannery is such a special place. I understand why Justine is working so hard to try to preserve it. What more could an artist ask for? You have this beautiful property with these cute little houses and the wood shop and the art studio and this beautiful decaying cannery and the wildlife coming in at the mouth of the Skeena River, and you have this train track that goes through your backyard, and you're at the end of the road just facing nothing but wilderness. It is so potent with inspiration for any creative. I'm honored to have been an artist at this residency. So the biggest challenge for me during this residency was time. I had pitched 4 paintings, 3 of which were going to be on custom shaped canvases, all done in a surreal style that captures the wildlife and the geography and the history of the cannery, and just amalgamated into this new series of artwork that's gonna blow everybody away, and I'm gonna document the whole thing. So I really knew I had to be strict with my time, which means I had to break this residency up into different phases and stick to those phases. So the first phase was the adventure phase. The adventure phase of this residency was spectacular. I met up with my sister's partner Tanner, and we went and did this hike to a beautiful vantage point where we got to see the whole of the Skeena River, and it just looked so beautiful with the sun just like peeking through these clouds and just casting these beautiful light beams on the water. Then we were off to go see these epic waterfalls where we got to walk straight up to the bottom of this 100-foot waterfall, and the wind and the wetness coming off of the waterfall was just incredible. Everything out there is just covered in moss. It was just an oasis. Day 2 of adventuring was probably one of my favorite days of the year. Tanner took me out on his boat, and we went down one of these channels to the mouth of a river where the salmon run is. It was just Tanner and I and Alla out on the water, just exploring and being free to go wherever we wanted. Now it was time for the ideation phase, and this phase came with all different sorts of challenges. The first one being, I really had to now distill down all of the inspiration that I got from the last couple days into 4 paintings. And so I just started with my gut, and that one was pecking order. Basically, from the time I got to the cannery, I knew I wanted to paint this. I sat down and I sketched it out in about 15 minutes, and I thought, yep, that's it. That's pecking order. I originally was inspired by this post sticking out of the water at the cannery, and I had originally seen a blue heron sitting at the top of it, and for the rest of the residency, I figured this is where the birds sit. And so I really wanted to capture the 3 big main birds out in this area, which are the Canada goose, the bald eagle, and the blue heron, as these are the most dominant birds of the area. Now that pecking order was in full swing, it was time for me to sit down and start ideation for these shapes. And like anything, I just started with some pencil and paper. Figuring out the shapes proved to be a little bit difficult because I really had some strong ideas and concepts that I had messed around with in Photoshop, and so when I decided to overlay the shape that I was thinking of onto this composition, I realized that the composition didn't work anymore. So I had to refigure the composition a few times in order to make it work with the shape, and vice versa. Now that the shapes are ready to go, it's time to hit the wood shop. I really enjoyed this part of the process because I got to work with my hands and some power tools. The first thing I did was to cut out the rough shape with the bandsaw and then go in using the router, getting into all the little nooks and crannies. And from there, I took it to the sanding table where I started to sand it down and get it ready for gesso. Because I was creating my own custom shapes, it added another level of depth and love and care into the process of creation. And I really loved that part. Now that the panels were made, it was time to gesso them. This part was a ton of fun. Finally, after so long, I actually get to render my idea on these panels. Now it's time to get into the painting process. And one of the things that I really loved most about this was getting to the studio and having to start a fire. It really helped me transition my mind from the outside world into just being solely focused on the painting. As an artist, one of my main sources of inspiration has always been wildlife. And so to be out in Prince Rupert and at the Cassiar Cannery and seeing all of this wildlife and just how vibrant it is out there just really inspired me to use them as a way of bridging the gap between humanity and its environment. Now that it's time to come to the painting part, I decided to start with Calling of the Wellspring. I really wanted to take this experience that I had with Tanner going down one of these channels and really try to capture that feeling. And so what I did is I took these marine animals and I lifted them out of the water almost as if they were guardians that looked after the land, and that we were just the guests who got to be a part of such an amazing place, and they were helping guide us to the wellspring. This painting was originally inspired by the tagline of the cannery, which is where history and nature meet. And I just really wanted to create a visual representation of what I thought that looked like. And so I started with painting the entire Cassiar Cannery property. I was able to fly my drone out over the water and get this beautiful shot of the entire property with all the buildings on it. And so I used that as a way of creating my foundation for the scene that was about to take place. I just found it was really fun to take a piece of history and the canning of salmon and essentially flip the script on it and kind of rewrite the narrative, creating a visual representation of the clash between history and nature, where we have the cannery that serves as a backdrop, and then I take this old fishing vessel that's sitting on the property and I bring it back to life and have it flying through the air with this sockeye salmon that is chasing it away, almost as if it's trying to reclaim its place in our world, taking over the waters once more. With Tenants of Cassiar, there was one big thing that kind of took me off guard. Out of all of the things to be inspired about, I really found myself being drawn to this little red house. And I don't have a reason exactly why, but this house, it just made me feel as if I was home. And so this house really inspired me in this painting because I was thinking a lot about our place in the world as humans and the place of every other living creature around us. And that this little place really just felt like a beautiful harmony between humanity and the natural world, where everyone could call it home. So that served as the foundation for this piece. Now, When I had started creating concept shapes for this, I really wanted to create something that looked like it was a sun or a moon kind of touching the water. And so once I superimposed this house onto the shape, I really started to feel that sense of home light up. I was starting to feel more compelled to take this another step further, that if this house is the symbol of warmth and calm and safety and prosperity for not just humanity, but for the natural world, then I wanted to help highlight that in this interesting lighting dynamic where we have this dark nighttime backdrop, but we have this house that is still lit up, almost as if it's glowing, as if it is the source of warmth and light in the world, and that these creatures that we share this world with also know that. Now that my time at the Cassiar Cannery is coming to an end, I am able to take a step back from the work that I've created and appreciate what I've done over the last 3 weeks. I've created a new body of work that I'm insanely proud of, and now the only thing to do is to just appreciate the artwork for what it is. And even in this process, I am starting to see some of the reasons and why I painted what I painted beyond the reasons that I started with. And the main thing that I was trying to capture is that as human beings, we are not beyond our environment. And that the Cassiar Cannery serves as this beautiful reminder that if we do not keep balance within our environment, and then we do not take care of it, our environment will no longer be able to take care of us. And so the Cassiar Cannery today is a reminder of our past and where we need to go in our future.